Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar today, taking the time out of your day to join us. With this, easily build a project and task management system with Microsoft Office 365 Teams and SharePoint using our NITRO Studio. Crow Canyon has this unique product, forms and workflow platform, NITRO Studio. Some of you are quite familiar with it. Some of you might be new to it. We've been having this Summer Breeze series all summer. And I'll show you the other ones if you want to take advantage of what we did previously. We did a leave request webinar in June and a expense reimbursement solution in July. And these are available on demand on our website, crowcanyon.com. Go to webinars. In the resources, you go to our webinars, and you'll see these. And then today we'll have this. We're doing this one, and we'll put that recording up on the website within a day or two also, so that all three will be available to everybody who wants to see them on demand. So again, thank you for joining this. I am Scott Restivo, the founder and president of Crow Canyon Software. We've been around 22 years. Some of you know me, seen me at shows, heard other webinars I've done, but if you're new, hello. And we do these webinars quite regularly, trying to help the community understand our guided to how to use Microsoft Office and SharePoint and Teams in a really good way for the company. What we do is several different areas we focus on. We have Nitro-based business applications. These are built on our Nitro Studio. They run in SharePoint on-premises and in Microsoft Office 365 and Teams. A number of applications. We also have Nitro Studio, the platform I'll show you today. We do custom solutions, and we have AI and bot services working with Teams and Teams bots and going in that direction. Some people are, dipping their toe in the water about bots, and we're right there, and we're doing a lot of development in that world. We have a number of webinars coming up. We have one on September 9th about sailing away from InfoPath to Nitro Studio. One of our big gigs lately is doing InfoPath replacement for all kinds of agencies, government agencies, but also industries, corporations, nonprofits, whatever, that have been using InfoPath for quite some time, and now they want to move off InfoPath and go to a modern form solution such as our Nitro Studio. And we really have a lot of resources available on that on our website. We'll do this webinar, and we've done a number of them. We have an ebook. We have I'll show you some of the resources we have on InfoPath replacement here. Now, where is it? Under products right here, overview. So if you're interested, if you're doing InfoPath replacement, have that as your project, and we're here to help. We have a lot of experience. We're doing it over 3 years now. A lot of resources and information on our website on how to do that. So the other thing is also whether you have access forms or other types of legacy programs, Lotus Notes or something, people are looking to move off. Support is ending for a lot of those, and it's time to go to a modern solution and not miss out on the technologies that are now available with these. We also are announcing a new visual workflow designer for Nitro Studio. I'll show you some of that today, but we are going to have a full-blown webinar on it where we show it in more detail. This is a visual workflow designer, and we have this is a little hard to read. We got our marketing's got to change this a little, but the idea here is that it's using Teams and Nitro Studio for business process automation is what we want to do here. It's what we've been doing for a long time, but we want to bring in how we're doing work in Teams and Teams bots and Teams channels to help move your collaboration efforts forward with that. So that said, there's some upcoming workshops that you can do. Again, they're on our website. You can register for any of them. They're all free. So a lot of information we're putting out here. Now, I don't want to go into a whole bunch of PowerPoint slides. I'm just going to go right into our demo. But before I do that, I want to point out, again, welcome to anyone who just joined us. And we'll be launching into the demonstration and showing you the project management, task management tool that we've put together with Nitro Studio to show you what Nitro Studio can do. But before I do that, I'll let you know that James is here. Some of you know James Restivo. He's going to be helping with answering questions. So if any questions, put them into the questions box. We'll try to get to them during the webinar. If we can't, we'll get to them after. And as I said, we will have a recording available of this and post it on the website. So let's get down to business then, huh? All right, so let me move off the slideshow for the moment and close the slideshow and go to the actual program itself. Some webinars I do have a lot of slideshows, others don't. This one doesn't. Okay, so here we are using Nitro Studio to create this project and task management tool. Now, the thing is, with any kind of tool like this, there's a wide range of possibilities, and it depends on your organization's need, or even the particular need of a department you have, or a project you have, or a particular instance, how much you want to put into the project management program. It can be very simple, it can be more complicated. So what I'm going to show you today is trying to find a range to show you the possibilities that are there with Nitro Studio, and how we take Microsoft Office 365, if you're in the cloud, Teams, if you're in the cloud also, or on SharePoint on-premises 2013, 2016, or 2019, use our Nitro Studio Forms and Workflow platform in order to build this application and build really, really great, powerful applications. And really, frankly, for a person like me, they're fun to do. It's really fun to put together these applications and have this kind of control of being a creator. They call it the maker world, or the creator world, the citizen developer world. And there's so much you can do with this to really meet the needs of your organization. So let's see what we have going on here. We have a project dashboard showing you open projects, projects due, over budget, et cetera, et cetera. And this is our tiles, our link tiles. It's one of our utilities, one of our apps inside of the Nitro Studio. We also have a number of reports right here to put together a dashboard page. It's a modern UI page. If you're on a SharePoint on premises or earlier versions, or using Classic, you can have a Classic dashboard page also. You can expand it so it fills the whole page. I mean, all you can do. Basically, the point here is that we give you the ability, using Nitro Studio, using what Microsoft gives you and what we have, to build this how you want. So for instance, if I go in here and I want to add a web part, which I won't do, but you can see that there's a number of Crow Canyon web parts are available here. If we looked at the full list, we're able to let me see, they used to be able to list this differently. Anyway, if you go through this, you'll see that there's a bunch of Crow Canyon web parts that we have here that can be added to give you functionality to make your dashboard page or whatever workspace page how you want it to look. Progress dashboards, reports, report center, site, I mean, all kinds of stuff. List roll-up, link tiles, knowledge base search. These are all things that we provide as part of Nitro Studio to make your modern UI page look and act the way you need it to do and provide the information you need. Let's get that out, back to where we were. So this is easy to change. So it's an idea of flexibility. If you want different tiles here, you just go into our tiles tool and change it around. You want different colors, you want different header, you want different reports, you want line charts or tables, all very available. So don't take this as written in stone in any way at all. It's just an example for this webinar of what can be done. So we show you the tiles at the top and our Nitro reports down here showing up. And when you're in the reports, you have a number of things you can do with each report: export it, save as a image, email it, print it, and then run real-time filters on it. So that's the dashboard. And I think one important thing with project management is to get that overview in different ways of how these projects are going and how they're moving along. And you'll see a number of that as we go through the projects itself, how Nitro Studio is facilitating that. Now let me go back and just show you that underneath all this app, this is a site inside of SharePoint. It's a SharePoint site inside of Office 365, and it has a number of lists and other items in it, libraries and things. But underneath it is our Nitro Studio. So if you went to our Nitro app and made that link and click that link there, you'll end up on our Nitro Studio page where you see the full list of our apps available to power up this project site. So we have forms, we have workflows, we have reporting, we have portals, we have advanced approvals, branding, custom actions, email and text sync. We have email manager, ID columns, linked items, list formatting, list rollup, list search, list view, print manager, and tiles and dial. And then if you're in Office 365, we have AI services, bots, modern UI web parts, and Teams integration. Now, I ran through that list really rapidly, I realize that, but to show you that we built this Nitro Studio to give you the power to build the applications you need. We've been doing this for 22 years, building applications on the Microsoft collaboration space. And in that time, hopefully we've learned something about how to build applications and what are required in them. And as we looked at Power Platform, or we looked at some of the tools Microsoft gave us, SharePoint Designer or other such tools, it wasn't adequate at all to build applications. They do little snippets here, there, and the other thing, but really, even Power Apps, Power Automate, we're not saying don't ever use them, but we're saying that we found them inadequate to fully make an application that you need, which is why we put together the NITRO Studio and continue to enhance it and improve it, such as coming out with this visual workflow designer as another major enhancement to what we're doing here. So the basic point is, underlying this project management tool is this NITRO Studio going on. So let's look at what's going on the actual application itself. So here we have the projects listed in a standard kind of SharePoint view. You can go in and filter, sort, however you want. For instance, if you want to do it by different overdue projects, open projects, projects ending in 14 days, you can do all these different ways of slicing and dicing the data here. Our list formatting gives you the ability to highlight certain areas where this one is overdue. It was estimated end date was the 20th, it's past the 20th, so it's overdue. And then you might want to look at, okay, what's going on here? Well, every project has a number of tasks. See, the way it works is that projects is the overriding container for a number of tasks. That's why we call this project and task management, because we have a project as the overriding entity of some set of tasks or activities that need to take place within a certain amount of time. It's one definition of a project. A certain amount of related activities that need to take place within a certain amount of time. It's a very wide definition, but it does give some kind of idea that there is this container of a project. Okay, so if we look at install malware protection, and we're project managing this, we're going to look and say, oh, this one's overdue. Actually, we'd get an alert through our alert system first, in our email, but saying we already got that, and we're coming here and we're looking at it and we're saying, what's going on? Install the malware. It's an IT project. I'm installing malware protection on PCs, and it's been approved by James on the 2nd. He said we need this. Admin account, that's what I'm logged in as. Admin account is the project manager. The team is the admin account. Department's IT, it's an upgrade. It's in progress, but it turned red because it's overdue. So we can look here and see what's going on with this. Well, here's the tasks that are here. Now, all this was put together with NITRO Studio. This is a NITRO form with the different tabs, the different layout, the sections, the colors, the lines, and these repeating rows. These are all things you can put together in a fairly short period of time once you get familiar with NITRO Studio. We were doing this just over the last few days, putting this together, and it came together quite nicely. So you get your how many hours, estimated hours, but you want to find out why this is overdue. So you might you look at your task, and you say, okay, let's do it by install malware protection. And you can see that this one is overdue right here. This one's still in progress, and its due date was 20th, and it has not been done yet. These are completed. This one's not. So you can get a handle on the project by saying, oh, okay, now what we're going to do is open up this remote workers one and find out what's going on here. And then we're going to say the due date was the 20th, and it's overdue. So let's email to the assigned person, Pavan, and find out what's going on. So you can send them an email through the system and say what we need an update on the following task. On the remote workers task, its due date was this, what's going on, and then find out what's going on. The other thing we have added recently to our program is the ability to send SMS text. So if you wanted to send a text to the assignee and said, hey, Pavan, what's up with this task, you could do that and put that in place too, to keep all people informed. So I just want to point out there's both email and texting available to through alerts and notifications to various people involved in the project, whether it's just one person in the task or the project manager. Important thing is keep everybody informed. So, if this is overdue, this install malware protection is overdue. It's a task. We have a NITRO workflow running that's going to alert the Pavan. I mean, like I showed you, we could do it manually by just pushing the email to assignee button, or we can do it by automatically through the NITRO workflow that says if it's 1 day overdue, send a notice to the to Pavan and also to the project manager to let them know that there's an overdue task, so that everything keeps going on track here as it should, right? So that's all done in our through our NITRO Studio. So back to the project here. And let me, I'm giving you kind of overview. Let's drill into it a little bit more and see what's really going on and how these tools of NITRO Studio make all this available and possible. So I'm really looking at 3 different things. It's the UI, how the form looks, how it's laid out like this. Another one is the custom actions and workflows that go on behind it. And the other is the reporting and dashboards, which you saw a little bit of already. So if we look at this form is designed inside our Nitro Forms Designer. You can be in the projects themselves and open up our Nitro Forms from there. It's right here, Nitro Form. You can go to Nitro Studio and open up the forms this way. I already have it open here, the project right here, the project form. We have the project form that you're seeing is designed inside of this Studio Forms Designer that we have right here. So you have the new form, this edit form, and the display form. So the new form is, the 3 options inside of SharePoint is either going to have a new form. Once it's submitted, you either see it as displayed or an edit mode, display mode or edit mode. And you can have the same form for all 3, or you can separate them out in our tool right here. And this gives you a form designer to create the kind of form that you need and want to do here. And what we have going on is a tremendous amount of control over this through what the different settings are of the sections, the permissions, the UI, all these different ways of making the section, not only the section, but also the individual fields themselves have a number of settings also. Now, to drill into this form designer in detail would take a bit of time, and I'd be glad to, we'd be glad to help anyone become more familiar with it or try different ways of using it. I'll show you some things that I can. It's a very, very powerful tool, one of the best ones out there on the market, I believe. We put a lot of time and effort in it over the years, and we got a tremendous amount of feedback from our customers as to what they need. One particular area that really helped us a lot over the last 3 years is when we were doing info path replacement. And people were saying, well, my info path form can do this, can you do that? And we're like, oh, well, okay, let's take a look. And so we built a lot of what was necessary for people who are familiar with, say, legacy programs into this, so that you can see that there's a way for them to go from the legacy to modern solutions, such as modern form solutions such as Nitro Studio, quite easily and without much interruption to what they're doing. So there's a lot going on inside this. We have the form itself is sitting right here on different tabs. These are the 4 tabs that are here, and they are responding to different events inside the form itself. Same with a lot of these other fields. Let me show you what that is so that you can kind of see the back and forth between this and that. So if we have let's just take a new project and take a look at it. So this is the new form coming up, which we're designing over here in the designer. So there's the designer, here's the form. So we say project title, does it require approval? Well, if it requires approval, you need an approver. So the approver shows up if it requires approval. If it doesn't require approval, we have an action at the bottom that says go ahead and create the project. If it does require approval, then it's going to go into, you got to have it required the approver to be filled in when you submit it. But I want to show you that down here, that changed from create project to submit for approval. So by making a choice in a check field, you're able to direct the workflow in a different direction. The create project goes right into creating the project without approval, but submit for approval goes into an approval process that is alerts the approver to this need to be approved, and then you won't create the project until the approval happens. Meanwhile, you got a project manager. This is automatically filled in by information from the user profile. This is filled in the phone, the email. You could get department, manager, any other information you want to fill in about that. You can do multiple people for the project team if you wanted here. You can add multiple people in here to the project team if you wanted. So you can put together a team and alert everybody and keep them informed about every aspect of the project. You can have a list of departments. Notice that project type's empty right now. But if you choose like one of these departments, it's going to be types that are specific to that. Now, even more than that, this cascade lookup, I'm showing you features of what a form solution should have implemented specifically in this form. We see the checkbox making difference as to what fields show up or don't show up. We have a section here with autofill. We have ability to add multiple people. We have different department, different cascaded lookups, different choices in one choice, make other choices show up here. And even more than that, here's marketing. And if we do a trade show, this will now watch right here, because it's going to show up a trade show tab right there. See, it's not a trade show tab showed up. And then you can fill out all the details about the trade show, when it begins, when it ends, where it's located, who's attending, what the sponsor, whatever information you want to put here. It's all up to you what you want to put on these tabs. It's really up to your requirements of your project, the project you're trying to do. If you're only doing IT projects, well, then you would just focus on IT related information. Maybe a server upgrade would require a certain kind of information up here, pop up a server upgrade tab or something like that. Or if it's engineering and it's bug fixes or development, you might want to put something else up there. Then you could have also documents associated with it. You might have a whole set of documents, and these are stored in a document library that can be associated with the project. You can put issues and notes, such as just updates, whatever here, running log of that. So it's a lot of places to put information. Now, continuing along with this same model of what's possible in our forms, look, we say start, estimated, and end date. Well, if we want to track hours, not every project you want to track hours, but if you do, it gives you budgeted, assigned, and used. So what we did is added, because we checked this box, now it's knows that you want to see these boxes. If you not tracking hours, you don't need to see them. And the same with cost. You can do the same thing with cost, budgeted, cost, and actual. So it gives you a lot of options there as how your project goes. It could be different projects. Maybe some projects require hour tracking and cost, and others don't. So maybe you want to permanently put in that every project needs to be approved. So you don't even need to require approval checkbox. You just always require approval for a project. Maybe you always track hours. I'm just trying to show you options here that can be done inside of our NITRO Forms Designer. And one of the big things that a lot of people, very important, a lot of people want to see is this whole idea of repeating rows, that when there's a number of tasks associated with the project. So I won't go through this right now, submit this right now. I will look at some of the ones we have going on already and talk about how how they work. So if we look back at the Forms Designer, what we've done here is a number of tools over here have made all this possible. So if we go here in the approver and we look at the permissions, we have this hide and show option depending on whether this is checked or not. So it's just simply set up in the column settings that you can do that. Then there is the cascade the autofill is right here. So we say, okay, autofill user information. And then you can come in and fills in the information according to what you want to do here as far as logged in users, logged in user project manager, and you're going to fill in all this other information about email and phone about it. It's a simple setup like that you've now established that when the project manager is filled in, it's by the logged in user, it's going to be also put in the phone and email autofill, and it could be other fields, of course, that you have in your user profile. We're going to go here and look at the department here, project type, and this is a cascade. This is a lookup column that you set up the parameters here for the lookup column. What list, based on what department, and it matches. Don't worry too much about the details. It's pretty straightforward, but you're basically telling it to go here, and when department is chosen, show a restricted list of project types that are related to that department, and then you have cascaded lookup going on right there. Then down here we have the same idea with these hours fields showing or not showing. We're doing it a little differently in that case, and that we're doing these column permissions over here, saying show hours, hide hours, according. We're doing several fields at once, three fields right here at once, so you don't have to do each one individually. You can just do them all at once. The same with the cost, the cost hours right here. To do everything to make it convenient for people to create these forms easily and easily and have the features in it that you want. Let's look at the repeating rows down the bottom. Here we go. We call this associated items. And we go repeating rows, another way of looking at it. And this has a lot of, I have to admit, it has a lot of features because different people want to do a lot of different things with it. They want to know what field, what's the relationship between this list and the parent and child list. Do you allow inline editing? What form's going to show up? Are you going to allow new? What new bunch should say? And then there's many other things, such as what the UI looks like for the grid, different styles. Now, you don't have to pay attention to any of this, but if you do want to tweak your form to the nth degree, we give you the ability to do it. We also do aggregates, where it tells you actual hours and estimated hours. You can column maps and toolbars. So there's a lot of going on, even in that one little tool, that can show a lot of power and capabilities, and both in UI, what the UI looks like, and also in the performance and workflow aspect of it also. Now, that's the new form. There's also an edit form and a display form. So I'll go here and put the display form here. And you see on the display form, it has approve and deny buttons and these only show up when for the one approver when it requires approval. So they show up on when you're doing the design, but they don't show up when you actually do the form, unless you meet the criteria of these permissions right here, show or hide. Right there, it's that's controlled. They also wanted to show you something else that's pretty cool in this, that you can change we have themes for the forms. If you want to change it to something else, you can go in and create your own theme, or use an existing theme, and see how it changes the buttons to look green with more of a rounded radius on it than it was before, because I set that up as part of this demo to show you that you can do that by setting up your theme and changing it back and forth if you wish. So you have a lot of control in the UI world. And to set up a theme, just go here and there's a theme, and here's your project theme. And now you have project theme. And now you have ability to edit that theme and make it do a lot of different things you want, how you want different sections and tabs and everything to look. So if we wanted to change the look of the sections here, you just go in and maybe make them a lighter blue, and we want to make them rounded on the edges. See border style, default padding, weight. Okay, let's just do that section. So now if we switch over to the project theme again, we're going to have blue right here, for example, the green. I mean, you want to make it all color coordinated and everything, but incredible amount of capabilities to manage the look and feel of this by the theme function right there. So, people are going to ask inevitably, can it do this? Can it do that? So please, if you are interested in anything with UI, you need the form to look a certain way, get in touch with us and we'll help you out. There's a lot more I can show you. And I think what I'll do here is just go one more thing. I'll add another tab here just to monkey around a little, and just to show you that you can add a table in. If you want to put a table in, let's say a 3x3 table, or 3 by whatever, however you want to make it, or whatever, or you can add it in, and it's going to give you ability to do tables, and you go into cell properties, table properties, and start putting fields into that. Let's say you want to put created, modified, things like this. And then it's, you can take it from here many different directions as far as how this is laid out. You may want to just put in a line HTML field at the top and just say, table X right here, put it there, and then go here and make the size large, center the thing. If you want to do HTML, you can. If you don't, it's up to you. And then you can have, start to make the table look, see, I didn't do this in this demo, but I just did want to show you that there's this really cool table function going on here. Of course, I won't save this, but one part I wanted to really go through was the UI aspect of this. Many more places I can go with this. I'm not going to right now. I'm going to go into the workflows and custom actions, because that's the sort of meat and potatoes, or the heart of it is that, okay, you got a UI, you got a form, you got somebody filling it out. That's cool. How do you actually work when you have to go through the different workflow of creating a project, right? So let me cancel this out without saving anything. They're on save, no, confirm. I don't want to save anything on that. I just want to stick with what I have. So when a project is created, certain workflows run depending on if it needs approval or not. So let's look at the custom actions that go on. Okay, I'll show you what I mean. We'll go back to the form of the projects, and on the form of the projects, focusing not on the UI now, but on the buttons that are on the form. We'll look at the new form first, and you see that down the bottom there are 2 buttons: submit for approval. Well, I mean 4, but 2 that we added: submit and created. These are set to show up if this one shows up if it needs approval. This one shows up if it doesn't need approval. Just go ahead and create the project. These are buttons that we put on that it will enact certain custom actions. That's one of our tools, custom actions. This one enacts a different custom action, create project. This one enacts a submit for approval custom action. So let's look at those actions that are done through the click of those buttons. We have a bunch here, several here. And if we sort submit for approval and create. So what's submit for approval? Well, the cool new visual form designer allows us to give a visual look of this, and you'll see that what's coming up now is the visual designer of that workflow. So when you submit for approval, what do you want to do? Well, you want to notify the approver. You click the three dots, and you get what you're going to do here. You're going to send an email to the approver. You're going to send this email template to them, to him or her, and they're going to get that message. And then you're going to set the approval to pending. It's going to be set to pending approval. Makes sense, right? So you sit here at pending approval, and it's going to then end the custom action. So it does these two things: a notify the approver and set approval to pending. Now, there's a number of other actions you can add here. We have a long list of actions that can be added. If you wanted to send SMS text to the approver, if you want to notify the other people, whatever, many things you can do here and I'll show you some of those in a moment with some of the other workflows we have to further the process along. So the other one we looked at is create project. Now you looked at a simple one right there. Now this is a little more complex because now you're creating the project. To create the project, we're coming down and we're first saying, okay, is it a marketing project or not? Is the department marketing? If it is, let's create a Teams channel just to show you what can be done. If it's not, just go to notify the project team and end it. But if it is a marketing project, create a Teams channel. Is it a trade show? If the trade show, create all these different tasks, subtasks, and then notify the team. If it's not a trade show, just create the channel and go here. And again, you could add any number of these, easy to move these around, I don't want to do that, but say you wanted to send an SMS text, you could just pop it in here quite easily, then configure it, that kind of thing. And then delete it if you want, don't want it there. So it's very easy to move, and it's really cool. And we're going to be doing a workshop September 1st on this, and a webinar on September 16th on this. So we're really going to dig into what all the possibilities are here to do it, to do this. And so it's a great way to manage a project. So what we're going to do is go through a couple more things, and then we'll go into actual creating a project that needs approval, maybe a trade show. And so we go through the whole process here of doing this. So approve and deny are two other buttons that are on the display form. So when the approver approves it or denies or reject, whatever you want to call it, reject, turn down, I don't know, it's up to you. It goes through the approvals. It goes updates the approval status to approved. It notifies the project manager that it's been sent an email. It could be a text, like I said, or email that says your project's been approved, and then it creates a project. So it's launching that same custom action we just saw. So you're kind of embedding that custom action in this custom action. So say, go, do this, then go over here and do that custom action of what we just saw a moment ago. And deny is more or less the same thing, but it doesn't have create project, it just ends. So let's go through that and see what's going on. It's, this pretty cool stuff here going on. So let's see, we got our projects. So let's do a new one. And let's do the one that's probably the most complicated with the trade show. Now, what's the fun of this is you can be in that custom action designer, monkeying around, making it do whatever you want, put in an update here, send an email there, send a text there, run another work. I mean, the things you can think, as they say, right, with this. So a lot of possibilities. Let's do a new one here. We're going to do I'm putting trade shows in because we were going to go to some trade shows in the fall, but one of them just got canceled, the one in DC. That's all right. But I just had that on my mind. So let's come up with another trade show to put in here. Let's say Miami. No, how about Minneapolis? Minneapolis trade show. There's a group up there. They used to do this SharePoint Saturday twice a year. The Twin Cities SharePoint Saturday group, SharePoint user group. Great people. Went up there a number of times. Anyway, that's beside the point. So does it require approval? Yes. The trade show requires approval. We'll make it that way. And the approver will be James. And what we're going to do then is a project team here. Let's put admin account on the project team. I don't know. Just this is a test environment. There's only so many names we can choose from in here. So the department is marketing, and the project type is trade show. And then we could fill out all the details here if we wanted: begin, end date, location. I won't take up your time to do that, but you can see that that's easy enough to do. And then we go not started. We're going to track costs. Well, let's track hours. And we're going to say we want to spend 40 hours on it. And put a description, show in October. In Minnesota. Let's do it this way. I'll do a SharePoint Saturday in Minnesota. Minnesota. Okay. Start date is we're going to start on this like mid-September, and the show is let's say it's the early part. I should do this for the one we're doing in Burlington, Mass. Actually, is one we're doing one in Burlington, Mass. Anyway, we're going to do here and say on the let's just say the end of October, right? And then we're going to look at this and no task or anything because we want to submit for approval first, right? So we're going to submit for approval. Now, if approval wasn't in there, it would tell me that you need to have an approver. So now we go back, we close this. Now you don't have to show all this stuff. This is just for the demo. You can do this behind the scenes and not show this screen here. It'll just do what it does. So we have the Minneapolis Trade Show pending approval by James Restivo. If we go over to James Restivo's account here, we should see that he just got a need for a project need an approval. Minneapolis Trade Show. This is in James. We're in JR. James Restivo just got this message that we sent him. Please approve or deny this project promptly by clicking this link. And this message is completely configurable by you. This just shows you what can be put here if you want. And then he goes here and says, okay, Minneapolis Trade Show. Let me click and see if I want to approve or deny, approve or turn down, reject. I don't know if I really like the word deny, but anyway, so he's got that. Now, here's the thing. If I'm in another account here and I go to Minneapolis Trade Show, I don't see those fingers crossed here. Oh, I do. I'm not supposed to see it. Okay, I have to go back and fix that up a little, but I'm not supposed to see those. Oh, well. Something with the configuration. We just put this together recently, so got to go in and tweak it. Anyway, sorry about it. Anyway, those aren't supposed to show up on that, and after this webinar, I'll fix it. It's just a matter of permissions on those particular buttons. Of course, anything you want to test thoroughly in real life, this was something I just put together really over the last couple of days, and okay. So anyway, so James got this, and now we're going to approve it. I'm going to go here and approve, and we're going to give him the option to add a comment. Sounds like a good idea. Sounds like a good idea. Have fun at the show. And he's going to put that comment just to show you that you can put a comment in if you want, user input right here, if you want to do that. And then it's going to go notify the project manager who was admin account, and it's going to create the project and go through the project creation process. And it's going to ask who you want to assign the booth design to. So we're going to assign it to Pavan. Like that, So since it was approved, it also ran the create project thing. And we're going to assign it to Pavan to do the booth. And then we're going to finish creating the project, and we'll see what went on here with this. Close. Okay, so now if we look at our different emails that I have going on here, we'll go back to look at projects right here. Let's look at several things that happened here because of the create project workflow. Okay, I'm moving James out of the way. We're going to refresh the screen and look at the Minneapolis Trade Show, which should say approved by James, all this. But here's something else. If I look at my teams, there is now a channel for the Minneapolis Trade Show that was created because I wanted to create a project, Teams channel for this project. It's created right there. It's one of the steps of the workflow. The next step of the workflow here is that in the Minneapolis Trade Show, we have said create these 4 tasks, and here they are. These were created automatically through that workflow. And the first one was assigned Design Boost to Pavon. If you remember when that screen popped up, I put in Pavon, and Pavon has now been assigned this. And of course, you could also ask for the due date and other things if you wanted. I just kind of keep it simple. But now if we go over to Pavon's email, Pavon got notices here and there. Here's Pavon's email. All these different browsers to show different logged in people, but he's been assigned a task right here to design the booth right here. So he's got this task assignment. He can go open the task and take a look at it. See, we're doing task management through all this simple workflow and the processes like this. Now let's look at admin account. Admin has been welcomed to the trade show project team. You assign tasks as project progresses. So he's been notified that the project was approved by James, with the comments, and then he was part of the project team, so he also got this project team welcome to the project team email. And you probably put a link in for the channel if you wanted and all that. It depends how you use Teams or not. If you know, this all work in SharePoint on premises too. Don't get me wrong. You don't have to use the Teams. It's how you ever want to create your workflow. It's up to you. So now that we know that process all works, and I took you through the more complex one that required approval. The other one's like a simple IT project. Which screen am I in here? Oh, here we go. Oh, okay, I'm back on projects right here. We could do let's close this. An IT project might not require that kind of approval. But let's look at the project themselves and start to think about how we can manage this and keep track of the projects, creation of different channels or subtasks or notifying people, very important part of it, but also it's managing it as you go along. So I worked on this one called Barcode All Assets, and we want to, as a manager, we want to look at this and say what's going on. We see immediately something's wrong here because there's assigned hours are over the budgeted hours. Now in our project dashboard, you'll see that also right here. There, I got to refresh this, I believe, and see the latest project dashboard. Oh, I think it was there. I was thinking that at the end. It's right here, actually. Projects over budgeted hours. Well, you can see that right here, and it's going to say the barcode. Okay, the barcode all assets is the one that is over the number of budgeted hours. Okay, so in your dashboard you got a view of it too, but also in your project list you're getting information also about what is and needs to be done to keep you on track and on cost. So you say, okay, it's over the assigned hours, it's budgeted, it's over, and you're going to get notified about it. In fact, you get a notification when you went over. But what you can do also is maybe then when you go here, you have to say, you have to manage this somehow, such as increase the budget or maybe you can't oversign the hours, so you want to decrease the number of hours that are assigned or reduce the task. I mean, whatever you need to do. And we're not going into too much of the details right here. I just want to show you that you have this control and information at your fingertips that you said there's going to be 24 hours. There's been 34 assigned for you. So you want to go in and adjust your tasks to make sure that either you go below the budgeted hours or you get a higher budget of the hours and how many are used. So you keep it all track. You see it all down here, the actual hours, estimated hours. It gives you a great view of what's going on right there in real time. And you can also go look at from the task perspective. Also from the task perspective, you can do the tasks are organized by project right here. And the projects, such as where you do barcode all assets, is showing up these four right here: due dates, install Crocannon's asset management program. It's been completed. In this you could see estimated. Well, it's easy enough if you know SharePoint. We want to edit the view. Let's put in the estimated hours and the actual hours. Let's put them in there. There we go. So we go here to the barcode all assets, and then we have actual hours estimated. So you can monkey around with it to make it right. That's what you want to do. And you can also get notified of overdue. Oh, here it is. Overdue tasks, like this when it's due. So this is the kind of there's several things going on. There's custom actions that help you when it's created. You press a button and it's going to do something. But there's also things that happen behind the scenes, and that is your Nitro Workflow. So I'm going to go to Nitro Workflows, and Nitro Workflows are going to help us manage overdue tasks. We're going to be notified when a task is overdue. When a new task is created, we'll be notified, but also when it's overdue. The same could be for a project when it's overdue. So you're going to say, based on a date in the column, one day after, repeat one every day for two or three times, whatever number you want. It's up to you. You're going to send in, when the assigned to is not empty, you're going to send them an email. You're going to notify an overdue, and you can change the priority to high. So behind the scenes, without anyone having to do anything, once the workflow is created, this Nitro workflow is different than the custom action because this runs on its own, on a timer-based, system-based events, not on a button being pushed. That's the difference between custom actions and workflows. These run on their own. Now you can invoke a workflow from a custom action, et cetera, and all this back and forth, and there's a lot of similarities. And we are going to have this in the Visual Forms Design, Visual Workflow Designer also. But the point is, I wanted to show that Nitro Studio gives you this great flexibility to either have immediate actions available on the form itself by pushing a button, or for that matter, it can even be in the ECB, what they call the ECB, the edit control block. There can be an action right here also that you can put in here to expand this list of what actions to take. Or it can be, well, actually it's right here, the ECB, it's in this ECB. Let me go there and show you what I meant. Email to assignee. See, that's a custom action that we added on here. And so that makes it so you can do it immediately right there in real time by clicking the button or choosing something from the ECB, or you can go Nitro Workflow to work behind the scenes for you, so that when a task goes overdue, you're sending a notification out to the manager, to the assigned person, or to the manager too. You should send it to, in fact, we should have that sent to the project manager too, you know that? So there would be another notify an overdue, send mail. You add another send mail. It's a whole bunch of actions you can do here. Another one is send mail to the manager, send to project manager, send notify project manager, You'd want to do that, wouldn't you? And the template would be overdue task, and it'd be to the manager right here. So let's go to the project manager right here. Where's project P, right? Project assigned to user and column. Oh, what am I in? I'm in tasks. Oh, I know it's related project manager right here. There it is. And do okay. So now you're sending it to the related projects project manager from whatever address you want. Could be no reply. So that's easy enough to set that up like that. So now we just added that in right there, right? So it's, if you're a maker, you got this kind of mindset where you really want to create things and make them cool, fun applications. This is a great tool for doing that. So now we've got another send mail. And if we want to put that up a little higher, we just move it up. So we're notifying on overdue, the assigned person, we're notifying the project manager, and we're updating the priority to high for this automatically behind the scenes when this workflow kicks off, which is one day after the due date here. Okay, so there's a lot of these different things you can do with your project depending on task management and how you want to do it. Basically, all you have to do is start with a SharePoint site, put a list up, a project list or a task list, and then build a form on it with a Nitro Studio form. Add the fields you want simply by creating a field. You create a column right here inside our form designer. You can go over here and drag it over to the wherever you want on your form, like simple priority right here if we wanted, and all of a sudden priority shows up. And then when you're done with that, you just go ahead and publish the form. And then again, that form will now have priority on it, right? We go over to the task list. So all it takes is that, you can do just really cool stuff to design it. You want different colors, layouts, sections, double columns, triple columns, tables. It's all there. It's all available to you to do. Now, if I open up a task now, it should have priority on it because I just added that. Sometimes you got to refresh the screen, but you got to refresh the screen. So we go here to task and refresh, and priority should show up on this. Now, so you take that, and priority should show up. Yeah, see, that wasn't there before. So priority is on there. That's how simple it is to change it and get something new going on there. So a couple other things I want to show, and then I'll bring James in for questions. But let me show you one other thing before we do that, and that's that we're able to do this. And this takes a little bit of, okay, I talked about the assigned hours here. We have our tasks. So if we wanted to adjust this, we could open up, now look, it says 24, 34, and 4, right? So we go here and we go to this and say, well, James, should only take 12 hours on registering barcodes. Trying to get under our budgeted hours, right? So we go here and we say save. And then we take a minute for the workflow to run, but then once it does, we'll refresh the screen and assigned hours should have dropped by 6 to 28, which it just did. And now we're getting closer to our budgeted hours because we just said, okay, this task really should take only 12 hours. And then we might have to adjust another 4 hours on one of these, update asset records, update assets into the Crow Canyon Asset Management Program. Of course, everybody wants to use our asset management program, right? So we've changed this to 4 hours. And now after a little update, it should get us under the budgeted hours. And if you want to go to that level, see Crow Canyons, our Nitro Studio can do this. So now we don't have the yellow anymore. So we're back to goodness, right? We're back to goodness. How's that, right? So we'll close this. And let's look at the dashboard and see if it updated the dashboard and projects over budgeted hours. Are we down to 0 on this or not? Let's see what happens. Well, it might take a minute or two to refresh there and figure it out. So what I want to do now, I could go on and on because this is really such a fascinating and great way to build collaboration tools on top of Office 365 Teams and SharePoint on premises. We've only just scratched the surface on this. And what we like to do, what we really enjoy, is talking with our customers, potential customers or existing customers, and find out what you need done. Because we can't imagine every type of corporate scenario out there, or government or nonprofit or whatever, in any country too. It doesn't matter just US. We have a lot of customers all over the world. And to find out what you need, what do you need done, and how can we help you do it? And do you want our Nitro Studio? You're interested in one of our applications? Do you want to try and build stuff yourself with the incredible power of Nitro Studio? Do you have a need to replace InfoPath forms or other legacy programs? You want to build a leave request, an expense reimbursement, a project management, or a dozen other kind of simple ones that involve some kind of request, access request, or a travel request, or any kind of thing like that, update benefits in HR. We can cover it all just with our Nitro Studio, and we built that kind of power into it. Now, James, before we end, I'm going to try and keep to the hour here. We have about 5 or 10, 7 or so minutes. Are there any questions?
No, actually, I think I explained everything pretty well. There's definitely a lot in here in the tool, and I think the folks on the webinar are seeing that it's very powerful. Like you're saying, we built up this project management tool within a couple of days. It just is spun up from scratch. This is not something we had sitting around just hanging out there. We spun up from scratch and created the list, created the forms, created the workflows. It doesn't take long to get you from from nothing to something with Nitro. But yeah, we didn't actually have any questions in the chat area.
Okay.
That's good.
So just a few more things then. We do have a number of other aspects to our Nitro Studio, not just the forms and workflows and custom actions, so those are incredibly important. We also have the reporting. We showed you the dashboard, and I can show you right now some building reports, and those are put onto the dashboard, or they can be in a report center. So there's a bunch of reports right here, and you can go in and manage these reports, open tickets by say open projects by department, and you have a number of different kinds of reports you can do. Here, this is a simple one with columns. You can do tables if you wanted. You could do like a table, and it's kind of a little, maybe not the best data for that table, but you can get the idea that there's different ways to show this information if you wanted, and you can see the preview in real time. This is a great tool for doing that. And then when you have the report center on a page, you can go through all the different reports, and you click through them and get them going right then and there, right on the dashboard or on a separate page itself. You can do that. Let's go to the dashboard here. All right. So that's it then. I guess I think we could go into so much more. I could run through all these different different capabilities. I could talk more about the Office 365 AI services, bots. We didn't really touch on bots at all. The Teams integration, how really our Office 365 applications are more or less Teams applications now, functioning very well inside the Teams environment. So want to leave it at that then. We're kind of close to the top of the hour. Appreciate everybody attending, and we really hope we hear from you and see that if Nitro Studio will be useful for you, or if you have any questions, something you didn't see, something you have doubts about. We're glad to talk to you about it and find out what we can do for you or your organization, or how this can be, how you can, this can be helpful, and how you can join the growing number of people using Nitro Studio as a workflow, collaboration, forms design tool to really bring that power to Office 365, to Teams, and to SharePoint on premises. And the cost is very, very reasonable compared to something like Nintex. We feel like we're fairly comparable with Nintex, pretty close, but way, way much better pricing we have on that. Very much more, we call it the practical alternative to Nintex. So, you want to explore that, we can talk about that. If your Nintex renewal is coming up or you consider purchasing that, this is a tool that will give you much of what they have, but at a very much more reasonable cost. So I'll leave you with that thought and wish everyone a really nice day, and hope that you have a, we hear from you, and good luck with your SharePoint or Microsoft Office or Teams efforts. Thank you. Thank you, James, for helping out.
Sure. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, bye-bye.